power. Real power. The kind that makes presidents pick up the phone and beg. The kind that turns a 16-year-old dropout with $100 into the richest man who ever lived. By the time he died in 1877, Cornelius Vanderbilt was worth $215 billion in today's money, more than Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Warren Buffett combined. He owned entire industries. He crushed competitors like insects. He once told a rival, "I'll ruin you so bad you'll have to leave the country." And he did. This is the brutal, unforgiving rise of the man they called the Commodore, and why deep down a part of you wants to be exactly like him. 1794, Staten Island. Cornelius Vanderbilt is born into dirt-poor Dutch farmers. His mother is so stingy she reuses tea bags until they're colorless. His father is a failed boatman who barely keeps food on the table. School? He quits at 11. Reading and writing? Barely. But young Cornelius has one obsession: boats. At 16, he begs his mother for $100 to buy a tiny two-mast sailboat. She laughs. "You'll lose it in a week." He makes a deal. If he clears $1,000 plowing her rocky 8-acre field by winter, she gives him the money. He works sunrise to sunset, hands bleeding. He hits $1,000. She still refuses, so he tells her, "Fine, I'll never work for you again." He buys the boat anyway with borrowed cash. Day one, he starts ferrying people between Staten Island and Manhattan. By the end of the first summer, he's made $9,000. Today's money? Almost 200 grand. He pays every creditor back, walks to his mother, throws the extra cash on the table and says, "Never ask me for anything again." He never did. 1812. War with Britain. The harbor is full of soldiers who need to move fast. Every ferry captain is scared of British warships, not 18-year-old Vanderbilt. He loads his boat with cannons and soldiers at night, sails straight through enemy lines, drops them off, comes back richer. He does this for years. They start calling him the Commodore as a joke. He loves it. By 23, he owns a fleet. By 27, he's a millionaire in 1820s dollars. But he's still working for someone else. Thomas Gibbons, the most ruthless steamboat baron on the East Coast. Gibbons is fighting a monopoly run by the state of New York. Only one company is legally allowed to operate steamboats in New York waters. Everyone else gets arrested. Gibbons tells Vanderbilt, "Sail anyway, I'll pay every fine." So Vanderbilt does. He rams rival boats. He races them. He drops fares to almost nothing just to bleed the monopoly dry. Cops board his ship. He laughs, throws them overboard, keeps going. The case goes to the Supreme Court in 1824. Vanderbilt personally escorts the lawyers to Washington. They win. The monopoly is dead. Gibbons makes tens of millions. Vanderbilt? He learns the ultimate lesson. The law only matters until someone richer decides it doesn't. 1830s. Vanderbilt is now in his 40s. He walks into Gibbons' office and quits on the spot. Gibbons screams, "You'll starve without me." Vanderbilt, "I'm taking everything you taught me, and I'm coming for your throne." Within 5 years, he owns the fastest, cheapest, most luxurious steamboats on the Atlantic coast. His nickname changes from the Commodore to something far scarier, the Wolf of the Hudson. He slashes fares so low that competitors lose money on every passenger. When they beg for mercy, he says, "I don't compete, I destroy." One rival tries to fight back with a bigger boat. Vanderbilt builds an even bigger one, paints it black, calls it the Predator, and parks it right next to the rival's dock with a giant sign. Fares half price until this man is bankrupt. The rival folds in weeks. Vanderbilt buys his entire fleet for pennies, then raises prices again. By 1850, he's worth $50 billion adjusted, and he's just getting started. 1861. Civil War breaks out. The government needs ships to blockade the South. They come begging to the richest ship owner in America. Vanderbilt does something insane. He donates his most expensive steamship, the $1 million Vanderbilt, worth $60 million today, to the Union. For free. Why? Because now Lincoln owes him. And because the publicity makes every investor on Earth want to give him money for his next move. Railroads. 1860s. Everyone is obsessed with railroads, but the industry is chaos. Tiny companies, overlapping tracks, price wars. Sound familiar? Vanderbilt sees the same opportunity J.P. Morgan would see 40 years later. He starts buying railroads like a madman. His strategy is simple and terrifying. Step 1. Buy a railroad. Step 2. Refuse to connect it to anyone else's lines. Step 3. Wait until New York City manufacturers scream that they can't get goods in or out. Step 4. Offer to sell access at 10 times the price. If they refuse, he shuts the entire city down. In 1867, he literally cuts Manhattan off from the rest of America for weeks until the city begs him to reopen the lines. They call it Vanderbilt's Siege. He wins. By 1869, he controls every railroad entering New York City. He changes the name of the main station to Grand Central because why not? 1868. Three crooks, Jay Gould, Jim Fisk, and Daniel Drew, control the Erie Railroad. They start printing fake stock certificates to dilute Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt tries to buy the company anyway. They keep printing more shares. He keeps buying. In 1 week, $7 million in cash, $200 million today, changes hands. Vanderbilt is losing, so he gets a judge to issue arrest warrants for Gould and Fisk. They flee across the Hudson River with bags of cash, literally rowing to New Jersey while shooting at police boats. Vanderbilt loses $10 million in today's money and vows never to lose again. He never does. 1873. Massive financial panic. Banks collapsing. Vanderbilt single-handedly props up the stock market by buying everything in sight. Newspapers call him the savior of Wall Street. 1877. He's 82, dying. His children are terrified he'll leave everything to charity just to spite them. He doesn't. He leaves $215 billion, in today's money, almost entirely to one son, William, because William is the only one ruthless enough to keep the empire growing. On his deathbed, he says, "I've been poor and I've been rich. Rich is better." When he died, the entire New York Stock Exchange shut down for the first time in history. His funeral procession was 2 miles long. His railroad empire became Penn Central, then pieces of CSX and Norfolk Southern. Grand Central Terminal still stands. Vanderbilt University exists because he wrote a $1 million check on a whim. But the real legacy? He proved that one man, starting with almost nothing, could bend an entire nation to his will if he was willing to be absolutely merciless. Right now, the shipping industry is exactly where railroads were in the 1850s. Chaotic, overpriced, and begging for someone ruthless to come in and dominate. But Vanderbilt wasn't even the most hated titan of his era. There was one man so evil that people celebrated in the streets when he died. His name was Jay Gould, and if you think Vanderbilt was brutal, wait until you see what Gould did next. Click that video right now. I'll see you there.